Everyone. So an interesting thing that happened, interesting because I had planned to talk about sensory activities for kids this week. All of a sudden this week, my 3-year-old, who's actually my regular hearing child, has been asking to smell everything this week. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if she saw this on video, or she's just like coming up with this on her own. But all of a sudden she's like, ask me when I'm eating for dinner and I tell her and she's like, "Can I smell it?" I'm like, "I guess, okay." Um, she'll pick up her clothes like when she's getting dressed in the morning and she's like, "Let me smell it." They're clean. Um, and she does. And we were like doing these paint sticks today, these Crayola paint sticks, and she was like, "Let me smell it." And I was like, "It smells like paint." Um, so I don't know. So she just is like wanting to smell everything this week. I don't know why her like smell sense is all of a sudden kicking in. She's like 3 years old. But it reminded me that all kids naturally kind of are sensory seeking, and all kids use all of their senses to experience the world. This is also my little girl who runs outside in our backyard barefoot, and she like kicks off her shoes as soon as possible, and she's always just like, "I just want to feel the sand. I just want to like feel it on my feet," or something like that. So she's really big into sensory input apparently. And really most kids experience the world through all of their senses. And the same is true with our kids with hearing loss. It's just that their hearing sense, is a little bit less. Uh, and so we want to kind of really develop those other senses and give them that sensory input that they're seeking, that they may be missing a little bit of because of their hearing loss. And also, as a mom, I am big on maximizing my time. And I love doing any activities that can easily fit into our regular daily routine. Um, so, as I'm going along this hearing loss journey with my kids and practicing speech therapy goals and doing language with them, I found that I was able to combine the language learning goals into one easy activity, that is sensory activities. And this meant that I didn't have to set aside even more time to work on the speech goals later in the day. We could get it all done in one activity or a couple of activities in the morning, and then we could go about our errands and chores for the rest of the day. Moms, you got to work smarter, not harder. That is really my message for this podcast episode today. So I'm going to help you do that. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the best sensory activities and my favorite ones that I use with my babies and I still use with my young kids today to help their brains grow, to help develop their motor skills, and help activate their language skills as well. I'm really excited because I just love talking about activities, and activities are so fun to do. So the first thing that I love to do for my kids, and my kids especially love to do as babies, were playing with texture sensory toys. So basically, you want to put together a bunch of toys or a bunch of items with different textures on them. So for example, you could use like crinkle squares. You get those on like Amazon. They like crinkle, they sound like crinkly paper and they feel kind of like crinkly. My babies used to love those. Bubble wrap, my kids still love that. Sensory squares, which once again you can get on Amazon, and it's like a bunch of fabrics that have a bunch of different kind of like feels to them, textures to them. And you can also get some of your own fabrics that are like velvet, satin. You could get cotton balls, anything that has just like different textures that you can feel. And of course, this supports their sense of touch. Plus, it's really fun to feel different materials like soft fabrics, bumpy surfaces, crinkly textures. I mean, it's kind of soothing as an adult. Like, who doesn't love sitting there and like methodically like popping bubble wrap as an adult? Like, that is a sensory input. So we seek that as adults too. And kids just like extra seek the sensory input. So something really fun that you can do with this is you can fill a container. It's like a plastic container with all the sensory stuff, and then just let them like feel around and play with it. You can also save like a yogurt container, some type of like bigger container, and you could like cover it and like punch a hole in the top, or you could like cover their hands with like a handkerchief or something and let them put one of the texture items in the box and let your kids feel the item without looking at it. And then for the language input, you can describe what they are feeling and have them describe back to you what you're feeling. And the fun thing about this activity where language is involved is that you can come up with some really cool descriptive language for all of these textures and describing them that you wouldn't normally use in daily life, but are still words that are good for your child to know. So this brings up some of those vocabulary words that are great, but you just like probably wouldn't ordinarily come up in like everyday life. So that is one. My number two, which I love almost any time of the year, is water sensory play. So just put water in a container, put some pouring toys in, and you're ready to go. It's like the easiest, simplest activity. I would put a towel under it though. Like, why does this work? Because adding water to the day calms down kids. It's so hypnotic. The feeling is good. It's also really great to do outside on a hot day. And at the time that we're recording this, it's the middle of the summer and it's hot everywhere. So this would be a great activity for outdoors. You can literally get a plastic bin and put water in it, put a towel underneath, like I said, put water in it and put in like some cups, some spoons to pour and transfer the water, and you're good to go. Like this will be a good 30-minute activity, honestly. You can also add fun things to the container if you want to like add to the sensory, like bath paints, which you can get like Walmart bath toys. And then you can do like bubble bath and you can wash the toys and have like a separate towel to dry the toys. So like that's a whole activity. You can add food coloring to make it fun. You can add bubbles. You could get some little water guns and you can set up some solo cups like on your patio and you can have your kids like squirt the water guns over. And I just came up with that idea today and I think I'm going to do that with my kids this week. Okay, and you can shoot the cups down with the water, which would be really fun. There's so much that you can do with water activities, and there's so much language that you can input with water activities, which is another reason why I really like them. You can input and talk about words like pour, the word water, squirt. You can work on 1, 2, 3, go, wash something, dry something. And these are all first words and first phrases that kids learn. Okay, so, and it matches really, really well with water and it's a fun activity. Worst case, they get wet and you just like change the clothes. It's fine. And the last kind of sensory type of activities that we play a lot in our house still to this day is anything with sand, kinetic sand, or Play-Doh. So pick your project for the day. I do not allow slime in my house. I hate it. But the other three are fair game. So, pick which one you like and, which one you're okay with being in your house and go with it. But it's definitely a texture experience for kids. It can also be a smell experience. You can add some scent to the Play-Doh or like maybe the kinetic sand. And it also really works on their gross and fine motor skill development too. So with these activities you're getting, and the water activity too, you're getting motor skill development and language development, and you're helping them develop their brain too. So you're getting so much development in just like one activity that you probably didn't even realize you were getting. So while your kids are working and playing with the sand, kinetic sand, or Play-Doh, you can input so much language to this too. You can input words like squish. You can input phrases like my turn, your turn. You can talk to them about what they're building, what they're making. You can have them like build a tower and crash them down and like work on that word crash. Once again, these are also all basic words and phrases that kids learn first, and they pair really well with the Play-Doh and the kinetic sand and that texture experience for your kids. So, using sensory activities for language learning is so great because it gets the kids interested in what you're doing and also puts the language into the right context for your kids. I'm going to turn on. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. It's getting a little dark in here. Sorry. The sun's going down. I thought I was going to turn on a light. If you're watching this on YouTube, I didn't. We're going to keep going. So, it puts the language in the right context for kids. And as we know, we've talked about on this podcast with language learning, just learning the words is not enough. Kids need to learn the context and like when to use the words as well. And so using them with activities puts words into context for your kids so they understand the meaning of the word. Also, your kids are being entertained. They're having sensory input, which means they're exercising more than one part of their brain. They're working on motor skills, and you're having fun together, and they're learning the language at the same time. And all this is happening in just like a 20-30 minute activity. It is literally the best. And if you're looking for different activities or want some support on how to put these activities together, come join our Facebook group. I would love to have you. I know the other members would love to have you and support you in language learning for your kids as well. You can join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/raisingdeafkids. I would love to have you there. I hope this episode today gave you some really fun activities. Like I said, even as veteran moms could use some reminders of good activities every once in a while because our brains get a little mushy after having all these kids sometimes. um, and of course, we know as parents, we want the absolute best for our kids. Unfortunately, kids, especially kids with hearing loss, do not come with a handbook. So I want you to know that simply by being here and listening to this podcast today, you are doing a great job as a mom because you're learning. You're trying to find better ways to help your child. I am so proud of your efforts. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday.